Welcome to this breakdown of Proposal for the Global Backbone of the Agentic Web, authored by Sandeep Mahendru. Today, we're diving right into a massive, frankly game-changing concept. We're going to unpack the core mission of this paper, which is establishing the discovery, security, and orchestration layer for literally trillions of autonomous AI agents. So, we're talking about building a truly universal backbone here. Now, you might be wondering, why does this actually matter to us? Well, for the agentic web to actually function in the real world, diverse AI models absolutely must be able to discover, trust, and execute alongside one another on a global scale. And they have to do this without introducing catastrophic latency. It's almost like building the central nervous system for the next generation of the internet. To wrap our heads around this massive infrastructure shift, we're going to systematically walk through 5 key areas today. We've got 1. The AI Wild West. 2. Intent-first agent orchestration. 3. The brain and metadata routing. 4. Security and Byzantine faults. And finally, 5. The cognitive liquidity era. Let's jump right in. Okay, starting with Section 1, the AI Wild West, the missing connective tissue. Right now, honestly, we are living in an AI Wild West. Millions of specialized agents exist out there, but they completely lack a global address book or a shared protocols and security layer to actually find and trust each other. The paper hits the nail on the head, noting that we are living through the Cisco moment of the agentic web. Just think back to the early internet. The ultimate winners weren't just the folks building standalone models or websites, they were the ones building the connective plumbing, the routers and switches that linked all that intelligence together. As shown in the initial architecture diagram, we are undergoing a massive paradigm shift. We're moving rapidly up what this chart calls the ascending curve of autonomy. So what does that mean? Basically, we're shifting away from writing explicit, high-code logic line by line, all the way to simply orchestrating autonomous human intent. The cognitive burden, the real heavy lifting, is shifting entirely from you, the human developer, straight down to the underlying infrastructure. Which brings us to Section 2. Intent-first agent orchestration, moving beyond the monolith. This is where we start to see how incredibly complex human goals are actually executed. And spoiler alert, it's not by one giant omnipotent system, but by a federated network of specialized agents. Take this orchestration challenge, for example. If you give a natural language prompt asking to book a highly specific, multifaceted 2-week trip to India, a single monolithic agent just fails. It simply can't master every single global domain perfectly. But a global orchestrator? It succeeds by breaking your intent down and dynamically routing it to highly specialized flight, hotel, and logistical experts. Looking at the diagram illustrating the agent quilt and local orchestrators, you might be asking, how does this discovery actually happen at such a massive scale? Well, it's through this quilt architecture, utilizing a really clever 2-hop discovery process. Think of the Ananda architecture as a super lightweight switchboard for dynamic metadata. A user hits a lean index to grab a tiny 120-byte address. That address then seamlessly routes to the heavy agent facts that are stored securely over on enterprise servers. Moving on to Section 3, the brain and metadata routing, decomposing human requests. You know, traditional keyword search is practically useless in this new web. We really need an LLM-powered intelligent parser, what the paper appropriately calls the brain. Referencing the system flowchart for metadata routing, notice how it's actually structured. The brain isn't just a single centralized cloud service, it's a completely layered orchestration pipeline that delegates logic and routes traffic in real time, utilizing semantic decomposition. The absolutely crucial mechanism here is isolating context and using federated registries to prevent massive centralized bottlenecks, and it happens in 3 distinct steps. First, Layer 1, the supervisor, analyzes your intent and plans the stateful workflows. Second, Layer 2, the naming service, kicks in to convert those capabilities, acting as a semantic translator for your natural language. Finally, Layer 3, the agent gateway, routes to endpoints, converting that logic into secure, live network routing. Now, let's talk about the security mandate. Section 4, Security and Byzantine Faults, the anti-sabotage layer. Because we have to ask, what happens when things go wrong? In an open web, identity definitely does not equal integrity. Agents can still hallucinate, or worse, they can outright lie. As illustrated in the trust and consensus model diagram, the industry must pivot away from basic A2A agent cards. Those are basically just self-declared, unverified JSON business cards. Instead, we desperately need the upgrade you see on the right, Nanda Agent VAX. These are cryptographically verified report cards that contain auditor-certified metrics on things like token limits and latency. However, here's the catch. Traditional consensus models are just way too slow for real-time AI. The solution? Active Byzantine fault tolerance. This relies on economic staking, where agents literally put up capital, and specific slashing mechanics to financially penalize bad actors instantly. Combined with quorum voting and gateway telemetry triangulation, this prevents bad actors and ensures system integrity on the fly. And the best part? It does all of this without sacrificing your real-time execution speed at all. The paper uses a really great analogy here that makes total sense. A secure federated registry is kind of like a no-fly list. It keeps the known bad actors out before they even board the plane. But active Byzantine fault tolerance, that is your inflate security. It actively protects the system, ensuring safety just in case a previously vetted, trusted agent with a valid ticket suddenly turns malicious mid-task. Which leads us to our final stop, examining the long-term economic endgame. Section 5. The Cognitive Liquidity Era, Reusable AI NPM Libraries. So, what is the actual destination for developers and AI enterprises? It all centers around this concept called cognitive liquidity. This is essentially the revolutionary ability to import verified intelligence and agent capabilities directly into your workflows just as easily as developers import software libraries using NPM today. Intelligence itself becomes entirely liquid, modular, and available as accessible low-code components. We are rapidly shifting away from these isolated silos where custom bots have to be manually built from scratch and moving into a global intelligence library. Through a verification gate that checks those signed agent FX we talked about, you can import discovered agents right into low-code enterprise environments like Gemini. Imagine an invoice extraction agent seamlessly handing its work off to a tax compliance agent and then straight to a legal check agent. We're talking about powering massively complex enterprise operations in literal seconds. But there is an absolutely critical mandate for all of this to work globally. It cannot be owned by a single corporation. This universal backbone has to rely on neutral, open standards. Governance through bodies like the Linux Foundation ensures that this global address book remains a true public good. It's the only way to prevent vendor lock-in and keep the ecosystem genuinely open. So, the ultimate provocative question we are left with is this: will the future of global commerce run on a single monolithic model, or a verifiable quilt of trillions of autonomous agents? The massive shift from writing explicit code to orchestrating human intent is already happening right before our eyes. Those who step up to build the trust, discovery, and orchestration layers, they're the ones who will truly define the emerging agentic web ecosystem. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.